The delivery room was too quiet. Not because machines weren't beeping, not because nurses weren't moving, but because there was an empty chair beside my hospital bed. That chair was supposed to hold my husband. Instead, it held silence. My name is Amara, and the night I gave birth to my daughter, my husband didn't show up. He said he was on his way. He said traffic. He said almost there. He never arrived. Labor started at 2:13 a.m. I remember because I had just finished folding baby clothes, pink onesies, tiny socks, the blanket my mother crocheted. I called him immediately. "Marcus, it's time." His voice sounded half awake. "Already? I thought we had another week." "Not anymore. I'm leaving now." That was the last normal sentence he ever said to me. At the hospital, contractions intensified quickly. My sister held my hand. My mother kept checking the hallway. "Where is he?" she whispered. "He's coming," I said, because that's what wives say, even when doubt starts creeping in. 3 hours passed. No Marcus. Calls went to voicemail. Texts unread. I tried to focus on breathing, but the pain wasn't just physical anymore. It was emotional. Because childbirth isn't just about bringing life. It's about who stands beside you while you do. By the time the doctor said, "It's time to push," I knew something was wrong. Marcus had never ignored my calls before. Not like this. The chair beside me remained empty, cold, mocking. At 6:47 a.m., our daughter was born. Healthy, crying, perfect. They placed her on my chest. And in that moment, joy and heartbreak collided. Because he wasn't there to see her first breath. He wasn't there to cut the cord. He wasn't there to hear her cry. My sister filmed everything. "Just in case," she said softly. "Just in case he asks. Just in case he pretends he missed nothing." At 8:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. Finally, Marcus. I answered immediately. "Where are you?" I asked. Silence, then his voice. "I'm so sorry." That wasn't an answer. "What happened?" I had to handle something." Handle what? Our daughter was born. There was nothing more important than that. "I'm coming now," he added quickly, but I could hear something in his voice. Not panic, not urgency, something else. Distance. He arrived at 9:05 a.m., hair messy, shirt wrinkled, eyes red. He kissed my forehead, held the baby, smiled for photos, but something felt off. Not guilt, not exactly, but detachment. "Where were you?" I asked quietly when we were alone. He exhaled. "Work emergency." At 2 a.m.? "You left the office at 7 p.m. yesterday." He blinked. "Client called. Urgent." "What client?" "Don't start this, Amara. Not today." Not today, as if questioning his absence was inappropriate, as if I was wrong to expect him. I let it go, because I was exhausted, because hormones blurred judgment, because I wanted to believe him. But belief has cracks, and mine were widening. That night, while he slept in the hospital recliner, I noticed something small. His phone kept lighting up, message notifications, muted, from a contact saved as L, just one letter. L at 1:37 a.m., 3:02 a.m., 4:11 a.m. while I was in labor. I didn't open it. Not yet. Because once you open something like that, you can't close it again. The next morning, a nurse entered the room. "Oh," she said casually. "Your husband wasn't here last night, right?" My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" "He left around 2:30 a.m.? I thought he went to grab coffee." 2:30 a.m. He told me he was on his way to the hospital, but he was already here, and then he left. The empty chair suddenly made sense. He had been there, and then he wasn't. Why? When he returned from getting breakfast, I studied his face carefully. "Did you leave last night?" I asked. He paused, just for a bit. "For what?" "Fresh air." At 2:30 a.m. during active labor. Fresh air. The lie wasn't even good, and that scared me more than the lie itself. Because when someone stops trying to make lies believable, they think you won't question them. After we were discharged, things didn't feel right. He held the baby, changed diapers, smiled at visitors, played the role perfectly. But there was a shadow behind his eyes, and I couldn't unsee it. 3 days later, while he was showering, his phone buzzed again. L. My heart pounded. I picked it up. The message preview was short. "She's asking questions." She? Me? My hands trembled as I opened the message thread. And that's when I saw her name. Lena. And the words that shattered everything. "I can't believe you left me alone like that. I needed you too. Needed you too. Too." That word changes everything. The words on the screen didn't disappear. "I can't believe you left me alone like that. I needed you too." Two. That word echoed in my head like a siren. Two. Meaning there were 2 women who needed him that night. One was giving birth. The other. Who was she? I scrolled up the conversation. My hands were steady now. Too steady. Shock has a way of turning your body cold. Lena. That was her name. The messages weren't flirtatious. They were intimate, deep, emotional. "I'm scared. You promised you wouldn't disappear." "You said I mattered." Promised. Disappeared. Mattered. These weren't casual words. These were words used in relationships. Then I saw the timestamp. 2:18 a.m. That's when my contractions intensified. That's when I was gripping the hospital bed. That's when I was begging the nurse to call him again. And he wasn't stuck in traffic. He wasn't at work. He was texting her. I heard the shower turn off. I locked his phone quickly and placed it back where it had been. My heart was racing now. Not from fear, from clarity. When he walked out of the bathroom, towel around his waist, he smiled. "You okay?" I studied him, the man I had loved for 9 years, the man who held my hand during ultrasounds, the man who painted the nursery, and yet somehow, he had split himself in 2. "I'm tired," I said quietly. He nodded. "Get some rest." Rest, as if my mind would allow it. That afternoon, while the baby slept, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront him yet, not until I knew everything, because partial truth gives partial power, and I needed full truth. The next day, I asked casually, "How do you know Lena?" His body reacted before his words did, a slight stiffening. "A client," he replied too quickly. "What kind of client?" "Consulting." "What kind of consulting?" He looked irritated. "Why are you asking?" I smiled faintly. "Just curious." Because men who are innocent don't get defensive over curiosity. That night, while he slept beside me, I used his fingerprint. He was a heavy sleeper, always had been. I unlocked his phone again, scrolled deeper, and that's when I found it. Hospital check-in confirmation. Not mine, another hospital. At 1:57 a.m. Patient, Lena Castillo, emergency admission. My breath caught. He wasn't just texting her. He was with her, at a hospital, while I was in labor. I clicked the details. Reason for admission. Pregnancy complications. Pregnancy. The room felt smaller. My ears rang. Pregnancy complications. I scrolled back to their messages. A week before. I'm scared about telling her. She's going to find out eventually. I'll handle it. Handle what? What was there to handle? The timeline began assembling itself like a cruel puzzle. 11 months ago, He started working late more often. 6 months ago, he became emotionally distant. 3 months ago, he began avoiding intimacy. And 9 months ago, Lena became pregnant. My hands were shaking now. Not from uncertainty, from realization. I opened the calendar app, did the math. 9 months ago. That wasn't coincidence. That was conception. He didn't miss the birth of our child because of work. He missed it because another woman was also pregnant. And that night, something happened to her too. The bathroom door creaked slightly as he turned in his sleep. I locked the phone again, laid down beside him, and stared at the ceiling. 2 pregnancies. 1 marriage. 1 lie too big to contain. The next morning, I called the hospital listed in the check-in confirmation. "I'm calling about a patient," I said calmly. "I need to confirm something." They wouldn't give me details. Privacy laws. Of course. But I didn't need details. I already had enough. Later that day, while Marcus was at work, I searched Lena online. It didn't take long. Her social media was public. There were pictures. Of them, not tagged, but unmistakable. Restaurants, hiking trails, a beach trip. The same beach he told me was a conference. And then I saw it. A sonogram photo, posted 5 months ago. Caption: "Life changes everything. No father tagged." But the date matched. Exactly. My chest felt hollow. Not broken. Hollow. Because grief is heavy. But betrayal empties you. That evening, I waited for him at the kitchen table. The baby was asleep. The house was quiet. He walked in smiling. "How are my girls?" Girls. Plural. The irony almost made me laugh. "We need to talk," I said calmly. His smile faded. "What's wrong?" "Who is Lena?" He froze. Not confused. Not surprised. Frozen. Like someone caught without a script. "She's a client," he repeated weakly. "No," I said softly. "She's pregnant." Silence. The kind that splits lives in half. He sat down slowly. "I was going to tell you." "When? After both babies were born? After he split custody between 2 households?" "When?" I asked quietly. He ran his hands over his face. "It wasn't supposed to happen. But it did, and he stayed, and he kept going. She had complications that night," he said finally. "I thought I was losing the baby." "The baby? Not a baby. The baby," possession in his voice. "And what about your daughter?" I asked. "The one I was delivering alone?" He had no answer. "Because there isn't one." He didn't deny it. That's what hurt the most. Not the confession, the acceptance. He sat there, elbows on his knees, staring at the floor like a man who had run out of exits. "I didn't plan for this," he said. "But betrayal isn't an accident. It's a series of choices. And he chose, again, and again, and again." "How long?" I asked quietly. He swallowed. "Almost a year." A year. While I was pregnant. While we picked baby names. While he rubbed my back when I couldn't sleep. A year. "She got pregnant 5 months after we started seeing each other," he continued. Seeing each other. As if it were a scheduled meeting. As if love were an appointment. "And you didn't think to stop?" I asked. "I thought I could fix it." "Fix what? 2 pregnancies? 2 women? 2 lives built on deception?" "When did you know she was going into labor?" I asked. "Earlier that night." "What time?" "Midnight." Midnight. I called him at 2:13 a.m. He already knew. He was already with her. "She had complications," he said defensively. "They thought she might lose the baby." "And I was in active labor," I replied. His silence admitted what words couldn't. He chose. He chose which birth mattered more to him in that moment. And it wasn't mine. "Is it yours?" I asked. He looked up slowly. "Yes." No hesitation. No doubt. Just confirmation. The room felt colder. 2 babies born days apart. One inside a marriage, one inside a lie. "What's the baby's name?" I asked. He hesitated. "Gabriel." "A boy." Of course. The irony wasn't lost on me. We had hoped for a boy first. He had smiled when we found out we were having a girl. But now I understood something. He had already gotten his son. "Does she know about me?" I asked. "She knows we're married." "And?" "She thought we were separated." Separated. The favorite word of cheating men. Not divorced, not honest. Just separated. Comfortable ambiguity. "And now?" I asked. "She knows everything." Everything. Except what I was about to decide. I stood up slowly. My body felt steady. Stronger than I expected. "You didn't just miss our daughter's birth," I said quietly. "You chose another one." He flinched. Because that was the truth, and truth doesn't soften itself. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. There it was, the question that always comes too late. As if I were supposed to choose the ending for him. As if the responsibility were now mine. "I want you to understand something," I said calmly. "You didn't destroy our marriage when you cheated. You destroyed it when you left me alone in that hospital bed." That's when something cracked in his face. Because affairs can sometimes be hidden behind weakness. But absence during childbirth? That's abandonment. "I was scared," he whispered. "So was I." Silence again, but this silence felt different. It felt final. The next morning, I called Lena. She answered on the second ring. "Hello? This is Amara," I said. A pause. "I know. Of course she did." "I'm not calling to fight," I continued. "I just want clarity." Her voice sounded exhausted. "He told me he loved you," she said quietly. "He told me he was leaving you." "When?" "After the baby was born." "The baby? Which one?" "He told me he needed time," she added. "He said you were emotionally unstable because of pregnancy." Emotionally unstable. That word hit me harder than the rest. He wasn't just lying. He was discrediting me, preparing an exit narrative. "Did you know he was at my hospital that night?" I asked. Silence. "No," she whispered. "He told me he was driving to you when he left." Driving to me. He left her hospital bed too. For a moment, to create the illusion of trying. He hadn't fully chosen either of us. He had tried to manage both, like schedules, like projects, like responsibilities he could juggle. "What are you going to do?" she asked me quietly. I looked at my daughter sleeping in her bassinet. Tiny, perfect, unaware. "I'm going to raise my child," I said calmly. "And you?" "I don't know," she admitted. 2 women, 2 newborns. One man who fractured himself so completely that no one got the whole version. When Marcus came home that evening, I was packed. Not dramatically, just neatly. Baby bag, suitcase, important documents. He stopped in the doorway. "You're leaving?" "Yes." "For how long?" "For good." His shoulders dropped. "You don't mean that." "I do." "You can't just walk away," he said. "I'm not walking away." "You did that at 2:30 a.m.? That silenced him. "I'll take responsibility," he insisted. "I'll split my time." Split your time. As if children were shared hobbies. As if love were a rotating shift. "You don't get to divide me," I said softly. "You already divided yourself, and I won't live in halves." The divorce wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Paperwork, custody arrangements, financial negotiations. He tried to reconcile, more than once. But every time I remembered that empty chair, and I couldn't unsee it. 6 months later, I ran into Lena at a pediatric clinic. Our babies were in strollers, side by side, 2 children connected by the same mistake. We looked at each other, Not with hatred, with understanding. "How are you?" she asked. "Better," I replied. "And you?" "Tired," she smiled faintly. "Motherhood does that, even when the circumstances are messy." "Does he visit?" she asked. "Yes." "And with you?" "Yes. Balanced, split, permanent reminder." That night, after putting my daughter to sleep, I sat on the couch alone. The house was quieter now, but it wasn't empty, because peace feels different than silence. Peace isn't heavy, it's steady. He missed the birth of our child, and I found out why. Because he thought he could be two men. But you can't divide integrity. You either show up or you don't. If you're listening to this and someone made you feel second, remember something. You were never second. They just lacked the capacity to be whole. If your partner missed something this important, would you forgive them? Where are you listening from? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more emotional life stories every week, because sometimes the most painful moment in your life is also the moment you realize you deserve better. See you in the next story.